co-creator and EP Bill Lawrence's follow-up to Ted Lasso, and it's every bit as warm, deeply human, and so very funny. It's the perfect show to capture this post-pandemic moment in which everybody seems to be losing it in the worst and best ways. Now, everybody, please join me in welcoming the show's co-creator, Brett Goldstein. We have co-star and music supervisor Christa Miller. We have co-star Jessica Williams. And of course, co-creator and star Jason Segel. Now, before we run a clip from this brilliant show, I wonder if I can ask you, Brett and Jason, if you could give us a little sense of how this show came to be.
Me and Bill Lawrence, who sadly couldn't be here, but he sends his love, but we're not allowed to have him on short panels because he talks too much. Me and him had a similar idea for a show. Mine was a much darker version of this, and his was a slightly lighter version. And the more we talked about it, we were like, if we can put this together, this is the right time for it. And then we wanted Jason, because he was the perfect man for this, because look at him. And it was also this thing of like, Jason has like that, it's magic, because he's got sort of vulnerability and emotion and sensitivity, and it was like, if we have him, the character can make a lot of mistakes, and we can push it quite far, and the audiences will love him, Jason. Yeah. And we pitched it to him, and then he said yes, and then we had a cuddle, and here we are.
Yeah, that was my experience as well. Yeah, I got a very dreamy phone call from Bill, and he said he wanted to make a show together. We had met years and years ago. It was like a cold call, and then Bill and Brett got on a Zoom with me and pitched me the show. And the only way I wanted to do another comedy on TV, because I was on for so long, was if there was a heavy dose of drama, so that it was all the things. I just wanted to make sure I did something that was all the things. And when they pitched it to me, I felt like, yeah, this is it.
Well, let's take a look at this beautiful show.
I'll take potato.
But the reason that I wanted to do that in that order was because now I get to say Harrison Ford. Tell me about each of you, please. Tell me about the experience of working with Harrison on this. I mean, I can't imagine.
For me, I will say, and I think I speak for everyone, you tell me, but a friend of mine back home said to me, I can't believe you work with Harrison Ford and blah, blah, blah. It must be normal now. And after a year of it, it's not normal. It's Harrison, like, he's wonderful and he's lovely and he's been so kind and he's fucking excellent in the show. But at no point am I with him not thinking, that's fucking Harrison Ford. What about you guys?
The first time I had a scene with Harrison, the location was a little far away and he has a golf cart and he said, oh, come drive with me. I was like, sure. You take your life into your own hands if you do that. And I was so afraid that I was gonna just fly out of that golf cart. By the time I got to set, like, we actually had a good time. That was the good first scene to have with Harrison.
Yeah, I found that Gabby and Paul's relationship really informed my relationship with Harrison, and so I got comfortable really quickly, just kind of bothering him. As with Gabby too, it was just fun to have like a younger black lady bothering an older white man, and so it just kind of brought a lot of joy, and it was easy to kind of mess around with him quite a bit. And he likes jokes and bullshitting around and stuff like that.
He teases us too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays pranks and teases us, so we give him shit as well.
You also got to sing Sugar Ray with him, right? Tell me about that.
I did, yeah. They asked for a list of songs, probably Christa too, she was music supervising on the show. And I sent like 10 songs and most of them were like no. Like it was like Michelle Branch, Everywhere, like a little Sum 41, Fat Lip, and stuff like that. Ocean Avenue by Yellow Card, and I think there was mostly no's, and then it was the one that Harrison could stomach probably, and that was the one he came back with, and it ended up being it was very natural singing with him. The only thing I found I was nervous about with him in that scene was driving in front of him. And he did have a couple of driving notes of like, hey, it's like, well, it's Han fucking Solo. Like, he knows how to pilot something, you know? If you're gonna listen to anybody, it's him. So yeah, but it was very surreal, and I cannot listen to that song without thinking of him anymore. Yeah.
Jason, did art imitate life for you guys as well? Was he sort of a mentor figure?
Yeah, I so desperately want his approval, but I try not to be too sweaty about it, you know what I mean? But he's very generous and he gives it in doses. My big moment was I started this year, like, I wanted to see what it was like. I started to wear a jumpsuit to work in the morning because you're going to change into costume, so I didn't need to pick out clothes, you know.
Wait, you guys, the jumpsuit.
It's great.
I can't even describe it, but it is a jumpsuit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I have the body of a mechanic, and so it's perfect. Anyway, I showed up, I got there like 20 minutes early thinking I won't have to see anybody, I'll just put on my costume. And I got there and Harrison Ford was waiting outside my trailer to run lines, which is weird enough, you know what I mean? And he was just eyeing me. He was eyeing the jumpsuit. You could see it while I was talking to him. I said, "You checking out my flight suit, Harrison?" To try to be sassy to him. He said, "I sure am, kid." And then the next day, he showed up in a matching jumpsuit. Yeah. He did bright pink. Yeah, that was adorable.
Fantastic. Christa, like, one of the things that I love so much about the show is that it really kind of gives a sort of an insight into the flip side of therapy, which we don't think about very much, which is that the most important thing for a therapist is to see a therapist. You know, that's very much part of the training, very much part of the ethos, and the vulnerability of the therapist. We think of a therapist, I think, oftentimes as like a kind of, you know, the person that has all the answers, but they obviously have their own vulnerabilities themselves. My understanding is that, you know, part of Harrison's character is based on your therapist, is that right? I wonder if you can, yeah, right. I wonder if you could maybe talk about that a little bit.
I have a really incredible psychiatrist that I've been seeing for a long time. Actually, Jonah Hill made a documentary about him on Netflix called Stutz. And why I liked him is the first time I saw him, he gave me a lot of hope because he said, well, you gotta stop doing that, but I'm gonna tell you how to do it. And it's about tools and trying to, you know, be practical about fixing your problems. And I think Brett and Bill and Jason also wanted that in the show. I mean, Jason maybe has gone too over the edge, but in general, giving people the tools so they feel help and can make the changes that they want. And I mean, I love that about the show.
Mm-hmm. Now, Jessica, am I right in thinking, what I understand is you were very heavily involved in kind of defining who Gabby would be, that she came, it feels like across the board, because I know, I also read that you are a rock tumbler, Christa.
So nerdy, we really don't have the time to go into it.
We got time, let's say whatever.
I mean, Jessica knows about it, and she kind of goes into a glaze over when I tell you.
Oh yeah, sorry, I was triggered.
Because Gabby is such a beautiful spirit in the show. I wonder what you kind of wanted to create in her.
Thank you. With Gabby, I was initially approached by the gentleman that they only had a couple of scripts written and they had sort of a loose idea of who she was. And I remember you guys told me that they wanted her to balance out, you know, sort of what Jimmy's character is going through, like by Jason, and Paul, who's a bit more gruff and Harrison 40. And so she needed to be this sort of buoyant, almost like light sort of figure who's going through her own stuff. And what was great was that Bill and Jason, you know, they both were really encouraging of improvising on set. And so they told me from the beginning that I'd be able to kind of add things that informed her character. And one of the first things that I improvised as hers when Jason's character Jimmy comes to the office and he says that he took Sean to go fight. And my response is, you took a young black man to go fight people in this cultural atmosphere? And immediately Bill, her husband, jumped in and was like, okay, so I love that. You feel free to add anything like that. I love that. Just keep bringing, and in my head I'm thinking, the black stuff? You know, he's like, keep bringing that, you know what I mean? So I pretty much got free reign, and then by the time we got halfway through the season, they just kind of let me go a lot of the time. And then by the time you're in the last few episodes, a lot of it is just me talking, which is cool. Oh, thank you.
You have a really sexy voice.
Really? Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so
I did a lot of screaming at a party yesterday, so that means a lot.
Another beautiful aspect of the show is how, and it's I think a hallmark of everything that Bill has done, is how well it marries, first of all, just the most incredible comedy, but also a true heart, a real meaningful heart. This isn't just sugary sentimentality. It has, there's weight behind it, and it feels, for a show that's about broken people, for a show that's about grief, it feels like a warm comfort blanket to watch this show. How tricky is that balance in the writing? How do you get that just right?
Well, it's sort of, it's half instinctual. I think that's how Bill and Jason and I think of the world, and it's sort of our tone anyway. And then you're just constantly playing with the dials. Like sometimes you find, oh, it's sort of gone too silly, and now we can't take it. No, we don't care, so you pull it back. And sometimes you're going, it's too fucking sad, no one's ever going to laugh again. So you're constantly adjusting the dials. But to be completely honest, there's not that much to it, because I do think it's how we are, the three of us and the writers on the show and the cast. It's how we see life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You sort of believe in people. I think
Believe in people, and life's really fucking hard, and everyone's doing their best, and it's always really sad, and it's always really funny. And that's it, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. But the thing that made me curious, I wonder if this might be, a Deadline exclusive that you can give. Does this show take place in the same universe as Ted Lasso, and could maybe in season 2 we see Roy Kent perhaps seek the help that he very much needs?
I think the problem with that question is the Ted Lasso universe already has the greatest therapist.
That is true, that is true.
And I wouldn't want anyone taken away from Dr. Sharon. I think that would be very rude and disrespectful. I reject the question.
I'm sorry. Apologies to Dr. Sharon. I don't mean it. I do wonder what your hopes though are going into season 2. I'm very much looking forward to more of this show. What are the layers that you're excited to kind of dig into, each of you? Jason, why don't you kick us off?
Sure. Well, I think that one of the goals was in season 1, it was watching grief was sort of the theme. And I know in the writer's room, the goal is to pick another theme that kind of carries us through the season that is all, it's like grounded and built on a journey towards, like you said, towards hope and towards wellness. But what is the next step after the immediate grief? What's the next step in healing? So I think that's what we're talking about in the writer's room.
We have all the answers, but I don't want to spoil it. Yeah. But it's really, I love writing this season 2, particularly when now, all these amazing actors, and it's fucking exciting. You're going, I can't wait for them to say this now. You know what I mean? I think it'd be great.
Is it a different vibe, I guess, once you've already gone through the process once, that you know how people are going to play everything, that you can really build on it?
I think it's easier to picture, and it's slightly more exciting. You've got your action figures now, and you're like, what can we make them do?
Nice. Excellent. And listen, just finally, because we're running out of time, Christa, I have to say your character in Scrubs, Jordan, is like my spirit animal. Please tell me you're working on that husband of yours, and that maybe we will get some more Scrubs in some form.
I just want to say this, there is never a time, and our cast is still very close from Scrubs, and we just saw all of them Sunday. There is never a time that we are not torturing Bill about doing a Scrubs movie. So he's like, I think it's so annoying, I guess I'm gonna have to do it. So we're on it, we're on it.
We all want to see that, don't we? Well, until then, shrinking is absolutely incredible. Thank you guys so much for being here. Please join me in thanking Brett Goldstein, Christa, Jessica Williams,